In the peaceful town of Oakhaven, a horrifying crime shattered the illusion of safety. A young doctor, brutally attacked and left for dead in her own hospital, exposed a darkness lurking beneath the surface. This is the story of Dr. Lisa Anderson, a woman whose dedication to healing led her down a path of unimaginable terror. Dr. Lisa Anderson, a vibrant and compassionate 32-year-old gynecologist, was the heart of Oakhaven's medical community. She was known for her kind smile and calming presence, helping many women feel less worried during their journey through womanhood. Lisa was truly committed to her work, driven by a strong wish to make a positive impact. She was a top student at the well-respected Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, focusing on complicated pregnancies and surgeries with small incisions. Her fellow doctors respected her abilities, and her patients loved her. However, one fateful day, tragedy struck. A patient, Mrs. Evelyn Caldwell, was rushed into the emergency room, her face contorted in pain, her body racked with contractions. It was clear that something was terribly wrong. Evelyn was in the midst of a placental abruption, a rare but life-threatening condition where the placenta prematurely separates from the uterine wall. The situation was dire. Both mother and baby were in grave danger. Lisa, ever the composed professional, sprang into action. She gathered a group of expert doctors, and they worked non-stop to help both Evelyn and her baby. Even though they tried their hardest, Evelyn got much worse very quickly. The bleeding couldn't be stopped, and she was getting weaker. In a very sad moment, Lisa had to choose to save the baby, so she did an emergency C-section to deliver the baby. The baby, a little girl, lived, but sadly Evelyn didn't make it. The loss of a patient is always devastating for a doctor, but for Lisa, it was a crushing blow. She had given everything she had to try and save Evelyn, and the sadness of Evelyn's death felt incredibly heavy on her. She kept thinking about every choice she made, going over what happened that terrible day again and again in her head. On the other hand, Mr. Marcus Caldwell, Evelyn's husband, was heartbroken. His sadness turned into anger, and he blamed Lisa, saying she wasn't skilled enough and didn't care enough. He wouldn't believe the medical reasons for his wife's death and focused all his pain on Lisa. His sadness turned into a dark need for revenge against the woman he blamed for ruining his life. He couldn't stand to see Lisa living her life normally, seeming like she wasn't affected by the terrible thing he thought she did. He promised to make her suffer, to take away her happiness, just like he felt she took away his. Driven by his strong hate, Marcus made a plan. He wouldn't face Lisa himself. Instead, he would use someone else to get close to her and ruin her life from within. He told his best friend Alex Turner, a 35-year-old marketing executive known for being charming and convincing. Marcus, unable to see clearly because he wanted revenge so badly, made Lisa seem like a cruel and unskilled doctor who deserved to be punished. He preyed on Alex's loyalty, convincing him that Lisa was a monster who needed to be stopped. Alex, unsure at first, finally gave in to Marcus's begging. He decided to help his friend, feeling like he had to because of their friendship, and also because the plan seemed like a strange sort of challenge. The plan was easy. Alex would become a part of Lisa's life, make her trust him, and then slowly ruin her reputation and career. He would be the instrument of Marcus's revenge, a wolf in sheep's clothing, preying on Lisa's vulnerability. But they had no idea that their mean plan would start a series of events that would cause terrible things to happen. Alex, really good at tricking people, quickly started his plan. He went to the hospital a lot, pretending to be sick so he could see Lisa. He made himself seem like a nice and successful businessman who really cared about Lisa's work. He said lots of nice things to her, sent flowers to her office, and gave her thoughtful gifts that made it seem like he liked her more and more. And Lisa, still grappling with the emotional aftermath of Evelyn's death and the weight of Marcus's accusations, found solace in Alex's attentiveness. He was a breath of fresh air, a charming distraction from the darkness that had crept into her life. His presence offered a glimmer of hope, a reminder that there was still goodness and kindness in the world. But as Alex spent more time with Lisa, something unexpected happened. He was captivated by her intelligence, her kindness, and her unwavering strength in the face of adversity. He saw the toll that Evelyn's death and Marcus's relentless accusations had taken on her, and he couldn't help but feel a surge of protectiveness towards her. One evening, as they were leaving the hospital after another of Alex's appointments, they witnessed a group of rowdy teenagers harassing an elderly woman in the parking lot. Without hesitation, Lisa stepped in, her voice firm and resolute as she demanded that they leave the woman alone. The teenagers, taken aback by her courage, reluctantly backed down. Alex watched in awe as Lisa comforted the shaken woman, her compassion and bravery shining through. In that moment, he saw the real woman behind the doctor's coat, a woman of strength, integrity, and unwavering compassion. He found himself genuinely falling for her, torn between his loyalty to Marcus and his growing feelings for Lisa. As their connection deepened, Alex found himself increasingly conflicted. He wanted to protect Lisa from Marcus's wrath, but he also feared the consequences of betraying his friend. He was trapped in a web of his own making, a pawn in a game of revenge that was spiraling out of control. He began to question his role in Marcus's twisted scheme, realizing the devastating impact it could have on Lisa's life. He saw the love and respect she commanded from her colleagues and patients, the positive difference she made in the world. The thought of destroying all that she had built filled him with a sense of dread. Alex had to make a choice. He could keep lying and tricking Lisa, doing what he promised Marcus, and breaking Lisa's life at the same time. Or he could choose a different way, one that would make him a better person, but also make his angry friend mad at him. The weight of his decision pressed heavily on him, and he knew that the choices he made in the coming days would have far-reaching consequences for everyone involved. Alex, feeling conflicted about what he was doing, kept pretending, but he wasn't really into it anymore. The fake feelings he showed for Lisa had turned into real love. He admired her strength, how dedicated she was to her patients, and the way her laugh made everyone feel good. He felt drawn to her, like he couldn't help but be around her because of how amazing she was. Lisa, feeling alone and a bit weak, liked the attention Alex gave her. She saw him as someone who understood the stress and hard work of her job. They spent lots of time together in the evenings, talking about their lives, their hopes, and their worries. Alex's charm and funny personality slowly broke down the barriers Lisa had put up, and she started to trust him. And for a time, it felt like they had found a good way to make things work. Alex acted like the perfect boyfriend, but secretly he was protecting Lisa from Marcus's plans. He intercepted anonymous hate mail, carefully kept her away from situations that could be dangerous, and even found ways to make people not believe some of the worst rumors Marcus had spread about her. But Marcus, obsessed with his revenge, started to doubt Alex. He saw the real love in Alex's eyes when he looked at Lisa and how he defended her from any criticism. Marcus got even more jealous and angry, making him want revenge even more. One night, Marcus confronted Alex, asking him why he hadn't done what they planned. Alex, feeling torn between being loyal to Marcus and his love for Lisa, couldn't say the right words and couldn't tell the truth. Marcus, realizing his friend had betrayed him, got incredibly angry. What started as simply trying to help his friend was slowly turning into a dangerous obsession for Marcus. He couldn't stand the thought of Lisa being happy with another man, especially the one he had asked to ruin her life. His desire for revenge changed into a strange need to control everything, a desperate attempt to feel powerful again after Evelyn's death. Marcus's anger grew stronger, and his plans became even worse. He decided to do something himself, coming up with a terrible plan that would not only hurt Lisa, but also punish Alex for what Marcus thought was a betrayal. He found a group of people who felt the same way he did, men who were angry at Lisa and wanted to help Marcus get revenge. Everything was ready for a night of terrible horror, a night that would change the lives of everyone involved forever. Marcus's plan was carefully made and very scary. He chose a night when Lisa had to work a long and hard shift at the hospital. The late hours, the quiet hallways, and the small number of staff would make it easy to hide what they were doing. He and the other men, filled with anger and a wrong sense of justice, gathered in the dark, their faces covered. They came in a plain white van, a scary sign of their bad intentions. Inside the hospital, Lisa was almost done with her work. Earlier that evening, she had helped deliver a healthy baby boy, a moment of pure happiness in the middle of the busy and stressful emergency room. Feeling tired but happy, she went to her on-call room, a small, quiet place where she could rest for a little while before more patients came in. She closed the door behind her, not knowing about the bad things that were about to happen in her safe place. Marcus and his group, feeling like they were doing the right thing even though it was wrong, quietly went into the hospital. They moved through the dark hallways like ghosts, their footsteps making no noise on the thick carpet. The only sound was the beeping of the machines, which was very different from the evil plan they had. You could feel the tension in the air, a scary silence that felt heavy because everyone was waiting for something to happen. They got to Lisa's room, their eyes shining with a mean determination. Marcus, his face twisted with anger, nodded to his friends, and they suddenly burst through the door, their loud entrance breaking the quiet of the night. Lisa, woken up suddenly from her sleep, saw a terrifying scene. A group of men wearing masks were around her, their eyes full of hate. Before she could scream, a hand covered her mouth, stopping her from calling for help. What happened next was a cruel and violent attack, showing pure evil. The men, driven by Marcus's intense hatred, took turns hurting Lisa. They tore off her clothes, leaving her defenseless. They beat her with their fists and kicked her, causing serious injuries. They assaulted her, and their disturbing noises filled the hospital room. Lisa tried her best to fight back, but she was overpowered by their strength. Her resistance only made them more brutal. They left her face swollen and bruised, and her body covered in signs of their abuse. Her pelvis was broken so badly from the kicks that it would never fully recover. But Marcus's cruelty didn't end there. He and his accomplices meticulously staged the scene to frame Alex for the crime. They planted his belongings in the room, his wallet, his keys, even a half-empty bottle of whiskey. They smeared his fingerprints on the door handle and the blood-soaked sheets. They even tampered with the hospital's security footage, erasing any trace of their presence and inserting carefully edited clips to make it appear as if Alex had been the sole perpetrator. Their plan was diabolically simple, yet devastatingly effective. They left Lisa, clinging to life, a testament to their monstrous act. They vanished into the night, the white van disappearing into the darkness, leaving behind a trail of destruction and despair. The following morning, the discovery of Lisa's broken body sent shockwaves through the hospital and the entire community. A nurse making her rounds stumbled upon the gruesome scene in the on-call room. Lisa lay on the floor, barely clinging to life, her once vibrant spirit extinguished. The nurse's screams echoed through the silent corridors, summoning a wave of horrified colleagues and security personnel. The once peaceful town of Oakhaven was now gripped by fear and disbelief. How could such a heinous act occur in their midst? Who could be capable of such monstrous cruelty? The hospital, a place of healing and hope, had been transformed into a crime scene, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the shadows. The police, led by the seasoned detective Evelyn Ramirez, a woman known for her sharp mind and unwavering determination, arrived on the scene. The sight that greeted them was nothing short of horrific. Lisa's body bore the marks of a brutal and prolonged assault. Her once radiant face was now swollen and bruised, her lips cracked and bleeding. Her clothes were torn and scattered across the floor, a testament to the violation she had endured. The forensic team meticulously combed the scene, collecting evidence and documenting every detail. They found traces of blood, hair, and fibers, all potential clues that could lead them to the perpetrators. But the most chilling discovery was the staggering amount of semen found on Lisa's body, a horrifying 150 milligrams, indicating multiple assailants. The brutality of the attack left no doubt in Detective Ramirez's mind. This was not a crime of passion, but a calculated act of vengeance. The initial focus of the investigation fell on Alex Turner. His belongings were found at the scene, and the tampered security footage seemed to implicate him. He was brought in for questioning, his once charming demeanor replaced by a look of shock and disbelief. He vehemently denied any involvement in the attack, but the evidence against him was mounting. The community, hungry for answers, turned on Alex. He was vilified in the media, portrayed as a monster who had preyed on a beloved doctor. His life, once filled with promise and success, was now in shambles. He lost his job, his friends abandoned him, and his reputation was irreparably tarnished. But Detective Ramirez, a veteran of countless investigations, wasn't convinced. She had a nagging feeling that there was more to this case than met the eye. The sheer brutality of the attack, The overwhelming evidence of multiple assailants and the inconsistencies in Alex's alibi all pointed to a more complex and sinister plot. She knew she had to dig deeper, to peel back the layers of deception and uncover the truth, no matter how dark and disturbing it might be. As Detective Ramirez and her team delved deeper into the investigation, they began to uncover a web of deceit and betrayal that extended far beyond the hospital walls. The discovery of DNA evidence from multiple assailants cast a shadow of doubt over Alex's guilt. The forensic team worked tirelessly, analyzing every piece of evidence, every fiber, every drop of blood, in search of the truth. The breakthrough came when they matched the DNA samples to a group of men known to associate with Marcus Caldwell. These men, fueled by their own grievances and prejudices, had become willing participants in his twisted scheme. They had allowed their anger and resentment to consume them, blinding them to the monstrous nature of their actions. Detective Ramirez, her suspicions now confirmed, shifted her focus to Marcus. She interviewed his colleagues, friends, and family, piecing together a portrait of a man consumed by grief and driven by a thirst for revenge. The more she learned about Marcus, the more convinced she became that he was the mastermind behind Lisa's brutal attack. But she needed more than just circumstantial evidence. She needed a confession, a first-hand account of the events that had transpired that fateful night. And that's when Alex Turner, racked with guilt and remorse, stepped forward. Alex, haunted by the image of Lisa's broken body, could no longer bear the weight of his silence. He confessed his role in the initial plan, revealing Marcus's true intentions and the horrific details of the assault. He spoke of his growing love for Lisa, his desperate attempts to protect her from Marcus's wrath, and his ultimate failure to stop the tragedy that unfolded. His confession was a turning point in the investigation. It provided the missing piece of the puzzle, the final link that connected Marcus to the crime. Detective Ramirez, armed with Alex's testimony and the mounting evidence against Marcus, obtained a warrant for his arrest. Marcus, confronted with the undeniable truth, finally broke down. He confessed to orchestrating the attack on Lisa, his voice filled with a chilling mix of remorse and self-justification. He spoke of his pain, his anger, his twisted belief that he was delivering justice for his wife's death. His words painted a picture of a man consumed by darkness, a man who had allowed his grief to transform him into a monster. The arrest of Marcus and his accomplices brought a sense of relief to the community, but it also left them grappling with the unsettling reality that such evil could exist in their midst. Lisa's death had exposed a darkness that had been lurking beneath the surface, a reminder that even the most idyllic communities can harbor secrets and hidden dangers. The trial that followed was a media spectacle, a public reckoning with the horrors that had been inflicted upon Lisa Anderson. The prosecution presented a mountain of evidence, including DNA samples, security footage, and Alex's damning testimony. Marcus and his accomplices were found guilty on all counts, their faces etched with a mixture of defiance and despair as the judge handed down their sentences. Justice had been served, but the scars left by Lisa's murder would never fully heal. The community of Oak Haven mourned the loss of their beloved doctor, a woman who had dedicated her life to helping others. Her tragic death served as a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the devastating consequences of unchecked hatred and revenge.